Ligers, Celtic Ligers, Celtic Ligers, Celtic Ligers, Celtic Ligers, Celtic.
All right.
Hello and welcome to the Celtic Liger Experience.
The Celtic Liger Experience for a new generation.
For a generation that used to be new, but now is old, and it's can't really wrap its head around it.
They're getting there to be old, but really they're the new-ish
and the young ones,
generation.
They know what they're doing.
Yeah. The next-ish generation, just like Star Trek, which I wasn't around for, but I make memes about as if I had watched it when it was on TV.
The one thing that I've been having trouble wrapping my head around as a older statesman of the of the internet, I've been meeting young, cool-looking individuals. They're coded as cool, as you would say. But they talk in memes, and that sets off, a 9/11 style alarm bell in my head.
911 alarm or 9/11, so like when the alarm went off when 9/11 was
when it went off in Saudi Arabia, so everyone could turn on the TV.
Like the Angelus. Except it was only used once,
but
and everybody knew what it
instinctively
meant.
knew what it was. All the royal family knew what it meant. But to me, that makes a nerd or a loser. So my question is, are memes cool, or have I just completely lost the ability to decode what's cool and not cool?
That's interesting. I think definitely the decode thing is very much something that's on my mind. But as in, do I know what's cool or what's not cool anymore? But the other one is...
Because when I was young, it was all... What was cool? Terry Pratchett book.
Yeah, awesome. Nobody could stop talking about them.
And the fact that I
When's
read
Thud
them
coming
made
out?
me more
Have you
popular.
read it?
Memes.
Latest Sam Vimes. Did you see it? What did you think of the Hogfather adaptation? I liked it before everybody was watching it.
What's your favourite character? Rincewind?
It actually was.
Yeah.
I used to think he was called Rincewind, and I liked that a lot better.
I think that is how his name is pronounced.
No, his name is Rincewind because it's revealed that it comes from Rincer of Winds.
Right.
Yeah, so I was annoyed by that.
Mine was definitely Sam Vimes. Went through a big phase where it was death, but that was just me being edgy.
Yeah. I like that you said Sam Vimes, and I immediately felt like somehow like a loser. to like Discworld is to be a loser, obviously. But then, you said I like Sam Vimes, and I was like, oh, he's the cool guy. Fuck, why don't I like him? I like the loser character.
Now, Rincewind was good. He was the ultimate, he had no strong personality, but his stories were the best, I feel.
They were
you
so
got
good.
to see the most stuff.
I also like the kind of cosmicness of it, and as in, there was always a tremendous scale to his stories. Sam Vimes' stories were good because they were just on the street beat cops type stuff. But then although they obviously had pretty big stakes too. But Rincewind, it was literally the beginning of the world, the end of the world. He'd be go to other dimensions and stuff, and it'd be this is incredible.
Yeah, at the end of the first, the second book is sort of about him living at the edge of the world. This, I think that's what I'm thinking of. And he's living on this precipice off the side of the waterfall with his alien.
Yeah.
Remember that one? That was really good. He's talking to this alien. He's made out of water. And he's like, how did you get here? And he goes, well, I live on another planet that's same as this one. It's a disc.
Mm-hmm.
And I fell off the side. And then I froze into ice. And then I just landed on this planet. and I'm too. I can't figure out how to get back, and I really want to jump off again, but I'm too afraid.
I loved one of the other ones. I remember there was a scene in Color of Magic, which is like probably like the least Discworld book out of all of them, just because it was Lord of the Rings satire.
It was the
obviously.
first one, wasn't it?
Yeah, but there's a bit in it where, and it was really funny because there was I think the guy who did the drawings for the book, I think that was Josh Kirby. I think.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And the guy who did the ones afterwards was Paul Kidby. I know that for sure. But Josh Kirby clearly read the book and was like, yeah, what is it? Some fantasy bullshit? And so he literally drew, there's a character called Two Flower.
Yes.
Who's got, who basically was described as having 4 eyes, because what they were saying is he had glasses.
Yes, and he's like a monster.
And on the cover of the book, he has just literally 4 eyes, because your man just clearly like didn't give a fuck.
Yes.
You know? But it was very funny that in the book anyway, there's a bit where they fly like an imaginary dragon that only exists if you believe that it exists. Okay, and then they stop believing it exists, so they start falling, and then Rincewind falls through like a pocket dimension, and then lands. He lands in an airplane in like contemporary Earth, where he's like flying, and it's the 1980s, and he's had this dream that he was a wizard. And he doesn't know. He's like, what the fuck? That was so weird. And then he just suddenly wakes up and he's still falling. And it turns out he just fell through a pocket of something that made him believe that he was in our world for a second. But he also might be in our world. And you're just like, that's the type of stuff I loved. I was like, this is the best shit.
He had a really good way of, like, I used to like the ones Cohen the Barbarian. You know those ones?
Yeah, he was great too.
And then the whole thing is that, like, the gods play games with the fates of men.
Yeah.
And then there's a bit later on where someone's talking to Cohen and they're like, of course the gods plan all this sort of stuff. Who do you think leaves the health packs in the caves? And
Right.
it's like, they're playing computer games with the lives of them.
Yeah, like, but it's great how it changed, because like if he learned something else, he would incorporate it into the book. But because of his interests and hobbies, it was somehow easy to do that. Do you know what I mean? It was so like, it kind of started off, he was like some fantasy role play guy who just, he was apparently the reason he decided to write a book in the first place, like a fantasy one, was because every time they met up to do like a Dungeons and Dragons type thing at his house, he always did like the best ones. So he's like, all right, I'll just do one of those. So that's what he did. And then, so, you know, he clearly was interested in technology. When you see his work setup as well, he has like 4 million monitors, you know, and was always keeping abreast of like computers and stuff like that. And so, yeah, I just really liked how, like, basically in the middle of the 90s, some version of the internet appeared, except by magic. You know what I mean? And only within the university, the Unseen University. It was like the anthill inside computer, which was essentially a computer that was powered by ants, do you know?
What was it called? Anthill Inside Computer?
Well, Anthill Inside was maybe that was a joke that I saw from something else.
It would make sense, because that's like, what's the one?
Intel Inside.
Intel.
Yeah.
Because the other, like, even in the first book, they had a few jokes like that where they would have something like this. I mean, it's a much more basic one, but the smallest unit of magic was the thumb. As opposed to the atom, I guess.
I remember there was one. Oh, that's funny. No, I was thinking of in the first and second book where he sells insurance.
Yeah.
And they kind of can't figure it out, and they're like, in sewer ants, and he's like, no, insurance, you know.
Yeah.
And he explains the concept of it, and it's like, so you bet the owner of the Ankh-Morpork bar that his place, you bet him a bunch of money that his place wouldn't burn down. And then, of course, as a result of this, your man sets his own place on fire, and the entire city goes up in smoke. And it was good. But anyhow, why did we even start talking about Discworld?
I don't know. I think we were making fun of it, and we were like, actually, it's really good.
Yeah, it makes you want to go back and read it, like, because I think that obviously the books, for obvious reasons, got a little bit repetitive towards the end.
Yeah.
But when the Small Gods was my favorite, I really loved Small Gods.
Great. It was all about the essentially Rome.
The heretics, and
There's another one I really
Inquisition.
liked. Oh yeah, there were some funny jokes in like the typography. So there's one where
Yes.
it's like there's an island that rises up, and
Yeah.
Ankh-Morpork wanted, and then there's this like Saudi style empire, and when they're speaking their own language, their font just switches to like a more Eastern looking font.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like you can still read it, but no one can understand them.
And it's like, this is something other people have used as well, but a good example in Small Gods, when so it's about a god who comes down to visit his kind of believers, but he doesn't realize that people have kind of stopped believing in him because he hasn't been his presence.
Isn't
And-
it that he wakes up and he's like underneath a rock or something? He's like
No,
shrunk down.
this
I
is it.
thought.
No, what happened was he tries to appear as like a boar or something, like
Yes,
majestic,
you're right.
but then he appears as a tortoise or a turtle. So, oh yeah, no, you might be right. Yeah, no, he starts off small, but he gets picked up by an eagle and he's dropped.
Yeah.
So the bit that I was kind of referring to is when he starts falling out of the sky and the letters start off small and start getting bigger as he's like, shit.
I mean, there's
So,
one thing that blew my
yeah.
mind is there's one with death, and there's this thing like there's all these different sort of deaths, and then obviously there's like a death of death, and he goes,
The auditors.
what?
The auditors.
No, no. Do you know what it was? It was the turtle was called the Atun.
Great out. Yeah. Yes.
The
yeah.
turtle that killed him. The death that killed him was
Okay.
so big, and like when his dialogue was written out, each page would hold like one letter.
Wow.
It
Okay.
was-
I haven't seen
Yeah, it
that.
was really good. I think I still have all the books, or like at least 30 books.
Yeah, I have. I think I read about 12. I didn't make it through that many, but and I think the canon thing was what got in the way, because I was always kind of a completionist, and I didn't want to read the books out of sequence. Do you know?
Yes. Did I ever tell
And I
you
used to
about when
think-
I went to the conference?
You were telling me, yeah, briefly.
Yeah.
But yeah,
This
tell me
truly
again.
is my Garfield moment. Like, when I went to me and my friend, when we were about 16 or 17, we went to Birmingham for a Terry Pratchett
Mhm.
convention.
Yeah.
And it was like immediately, like I really didn't understand the idea of the fanatic.
Yeah.
So when I turned up, I thought it was just going to be people like me who sort of like the books, like,
Mm-hmm.
but they were like people just dressed up as the characters.
Yeah.
And I remember just talking to someone, and they're holding a book, like one of the Terry Pratchett ones, obviously. And I was like, "Oh, is that one any good?" And they were like, "Of course it's good." And I was like, I'm in the wrong place.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I had a different experience, which is I went up to Dublin to get my book signed by Terry Pratchett, and he was a really lovely man. Only spoke to him briefly, and I was so embarrassed because I wanted to be like the perfect fan.
What
so
book did you choose to get signed?
I bought some book. Basically bought books when I was up there because a lot of them I had taken out of the library.
Oh,
So I got his new one, which was Thud at the time, and I got that signed. And then I got my mum was with me, so she was like, "Oh, we have to get something for your sister." So she was like, "Which one should you get?" And I was like, "You should get the best book, which is Small Gods. Have to get that." And so anyhow, we were standing in line for a long time, and there was just like the type of people you're talking about just populating the line. And the reason it was taking so long is because he was stopping having conversations with all of them. He was just that type of person, you know. And when I got to the head of the line, he was like, "Oh, so who should I make this book out to?" And I was like, "Oh, there's no need, just your name. That'd be great." Because I had this thing in my head. I was like, I'm not going to pretend to be his friend because he'll see right through that type of stuff.
That's the sort of stuff I would have done as well.
Yeah, but he immediately, I think, I could be wrong about this, but I think he kind of had this feeling like I was going to sell the book on eBay or something.
Yeah.
And so he kind of realized, he kind of clammed up, and he kind of became a little bit like, okay, and just signed it and said, "Here you go." And then my mum came up with Small Gods, and he was like, so who's this out to? He was like, well, so my daughter couldn't be here today, but I just want to say my son loves your books. And I was really embarrassed, you know. And then she was like, I'd love you to, you know, sign this out to my daughter Baven, you know. And he's like, Baven, God, let's start this long journey of a name. And he started writing it out, and he's like, I'm presuming there's a father here. And there was, and he was, but, you know, we didn't correct him that it was a father. But anyway, he did this really elaborate signature for my sister. And so what he did is he wrote like T, and then he wrote a massive P that was in the shape of a giant turtle that encompassed the entire signature. And then he was like, there you go. And thank you so much. And then we walked away, and I just felt like absolute shit. I was just trying to be so cagey that I kind of forgot that, like, I forgot to just be normal around him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wanted to be, I really wanted to impress him. And it turns out, like, that's the reason his fandom it loves him so much, is because he was always impressed by those people I would have dismissed as weirdos.
Yeah.
He loved them. Like, oh, it was really, and I heard another story where, like, some guy I worked with, he used to do plays. He used to be in a theatre company, and they put on some adaptations of Discworld, you know? And there was a signing happening, and he went there, and he kind of was talking to him for like a few seconds, you know, or it was, I don't know what it was, but either way, he ended up talking to Terry Pratchett, and he's like, we're doing a play tonight based on like Weird Sisters. He's like, oh, okay. And then they were about to put on the play, and then Terry Pratchett just like walked in, just because he found out just because that guy said they were doing a play of Weird Sisters, and he just showed up. He didn't stay the whole time, obviously, but he just wanted to show up and be like, yeah, good luck with it. And I was just like, what a fucking legend.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be like that with our fans.
No way.
They should
They'd
not
be like,
talk or look at me.
Yes, they come up and like, I wanted to do a stage adaptation of one of your podcasts. Like, how dare you?
Yeah.
And just try and sue them into oblivion.
Yeah. Hey, it's a free country, buddy. You can do whatever you like, but don't tell me about it. Don't drag me into it.
By the way, that's actually what Kevin Smith did with a local theatre troupe that put on an adaptation of Clerks in Galway.
What?
Back in like 2004 or something.
He turned up, or he came out of them?
He tried to sue them for having done it. And they were like, we're a very small theatre company. Like, we reached out to you 1,000,000 times and you didn't get back. And we presume just because Clerks was like meant to be, you know, it's like basically the whole story of Clerks is shot in black and white because, you know, he was shooting at nighttime or daytime or whatever time he could. So it had to be shot in black and white for that reason. He contrived a reason for the shutters to be closed in the store so that you couldn't see what time of day it was outside. And he was filming it with the permission of the store owner. And he worked there. He worked in that Quick Stop. And so the store owner was like, yeah, go for it, and didn't take any money or anything like that. And then they got picked up by one of the Weinsteins, and that's where, you know, his whole entire career took off, and he became an indie darling.
Yeah.
So they continued under the impression, we'll rehearse this play in anticipation of him saying yes, probably naively, but whatever. And then they thought, well, we are in Galway. He probably will never find out, and if he does, he'll probably be in support of us.
How did they find out?
I don't know, but maybe because of the correspondence they had with him, but he said, no, you're not allowed, and then he tried to sue them, and they're like a theatre company that had like no fucking money. There was literally like nobody was getting paid in that. Do you know what I mean?
Sucks.
Yeah. And anyway, he eventually withdrew the lawsuit and pretended to be like a really nice guy about it, but it was like, what an asshole. Like, the thing that he was asking for was $1,000. He was asking for like $1,000 in damages, and they didn't even have that. Do you know what I mean? Like,
$1,000, like, that's nothing to him, and like everything to a theatre company.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, let that be a lesson to anyone who wants to do an adaptation of our Brexit review.
Yes.
Because behind the paywall we have all sorts of
well, that's true.
Freaking
behind the paywall we have that. Like, for example, if you deign to try and talk about a movie while eating minstrels, then we will sue you into oblivion
for $3.50.
$3.50 a month. I thought you 3.50. I thought you meant.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the price of a bag of minstrels in like a garage on the road.
Okay. Yeah.
So I have a little story to tell you.
Do tell me.
About the world's worst man. No, but
Yeah.
it's I'm just like, don't be too celebratory. It's just like, try not to
Yeah.
be too happy, with this
Mhm.
story.
Yeah. Because I was saying this, I was kind of feeling like really chirpy about it. Like, this is a great weekend, reading all of the responses and replies. Because like literally we recorded an episode, then a day later I usually edit it. And so I'm listening back to it, and we had an episode of just pure despair. We were talking about co-living, and we're just like what's going to happen? Was there any way out of this? And like, why does this guy keep getting away with it? Why do we have to keep talking about him? We were so upset. And now there's literally nothing I want to do more than talk about Leo Varadkar.
Yeah.
And but I was suddenly aware, I was like, fuck, wait a minute. Like, last time they lost the election, he resigned, and then, COVID happened. And I was like, what sort of black magic is going to happen?
Did he resign?
Well, remember he showed up. I'm going to look this up, but I remember him going to Michael D and resigning as leader of his party.
As a party or as government?
Okay, I'm going to have to look this up, but I thought that was kind of inherent in resigning.
I don't think you have to tell the president if you're retiring as head of your party. But because it also might be a thing.
Okay, so this is the Irish Times. The headline reads, "Fuck off, you dumb bitch." Sorry, it was refreshed. Varadkar resigns amid warning impasse will hit the economy. This is February 22nd, 2020. It was after dark by the time Leo Varadkar arrived at Oris Nuachtaráin on Thursday to tender his resignation to President Michael D. Higgins, having earlier lost the confidence of Dáil Éireann as it met for the first time since the general election. Telegraph says Leo Varadkar resigns after crushing defeat in parliamentary elections.
But resigned from what?
I don't know.
I think it's head of government.
Resigned as... Yeah. Yeah, you're right. He'd resigned as Irish Prime Minister, according to the Telegraph. But I think that, like, once you suffer a loss like that, then it's like your time as leader is basically up, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like that's the next step.
Yeah.
But then, of course, raised by the fucking good press of COVID for him, he managed to claw out a deal which sees him be the Taoiseach in a year and a half.
Yeah, did you see he said there was a poetry to him becoming Taoiseach?
No.
At the 100th anniversary of the state.
Oh, God. Oh, stop.
And,
I got like...
What?
It's just making me so angry when you say that. He's such an asshole.
He is, isn't he? He was like...
Oh, God.
He was like... There's such poetry in... Fianna Fáil handing over power peacefully to Fine Gael at the 100th anniversary of the state.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
It was like...
It hasn't happened yet. Like...
I know.
Many a slip between cup and lip, huh?
Yes.
I just came up with that.
No, I can tell.
You hear me struggling to remember it. So that means I came up with it. If you forget something and you say it, does that mean that you came up with it? I think so.
I think it means you contributed towards this discovery.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, for those in the future not in the know, basically Village magazine came out on Saturday and said that Leo had improperly leaked a classified document to basically a rival union during some sort of negotiation.
Yeah, I think they claimed that he illegally used to properly. So do you know this story? Do you know what the thing was?
I've looked it up and I've got...
I have the basics here if you want to.
Yeah, let's do the basics. I have a somewhat of a reading on it, but when you have too many acronyms and too many kind of wishy-washy kind of...
Well,
like
let me give it a shot.
But you know when you have like the policy stuff and it's like, in paragraph A, whatever, suggested this, and you're just like, I don't know why you're fucking talking. So yeah, go on, give it to me. Sorry.
So basically, here's the long and short of it. In the 70s, they set it up like the medical card.
Yeah.
The way the medical card works is that the government reimburses or pays GPs for services they give under the medical card.
Yeah.
right? And then during the recession, there was this thing called, there was something, and basically the budget for this was just absolutely reefed out of it, you know?
Yeah.
They lost out on like a huge amount. And at the time you had one union, and there was the IMO, which is the, I have it written down here, the Irish
Medical
Office
organization.
And then there's a sort of a minor, I think it was like a corruption scandal in that.
Yeah, there was, and there was a mass exodus. I know this
yeah.
bit, so I'll say this bit, which is that basically a guy retired and gave himself like hundreds of thousands as a bonus.
I think
or
he
something
gave himself
like
10 million.
Oh, really? Okay, well then, and there was a huge scandal, mass exodus of people resigning.
Yeah, and then as a result, another. The other thing to note about that is the IMO is under the ICTU, which is like a well-recognized trade organization congress.
Yeah, I mean, look that up.
So then,
what does the acronym stand for? Irish Congress of Trade Unions. Yeah, cool.
Yeah. So then, in response to that, a group of GPs set up a thing called the NAGP, which is the National Association of General Practitioners.
Mm-hmm.
And that was headed up by some guy, doesn't matter who was later. And the reason why the NAGP fell apart is because there's accusations that the guy who started it was stealing money.
Yes.
But the basic idea was that, and like your man, Dr. Matthew O'Toole.
Yeah, let's call him that. Matthew O'Toole.
The documents were leaked to.
Yeah.
He was sort of like this very media savvy campaigner.
Yeah.
And he said that the GMS agreement wasn't fit for service, and that the whole health service wasn't fit for service, basically. And that Simon Harris didn't know what he was talking about.
Yeah.
And he saw the NAGP as like a more flexible way to rehabilitate the health service as opposed to the IMO, which he saw as sort of like, you know, cock and hand sort of stuff.
Stuffy and and whatever.
So then when was it? In like 2016.
Yeah.
They launched to renegotiate the medical card contract.
Yeah.
So it was to say like, these were the old fees the GPs were getting for treating people, and these are going to be the new fees.
Yeah.
And Simon Harris was saying that he was only going to deal with the IMO, the original doctors' union.
Yeah.
And he said that's because there was too much infighting between unions, and he said that medical politics was too fractured.
Okay.
So he was just going to talk to the IMO and leave the NAGP out of it.
Yeah.
So, all through the talks, it was just IMO and the government, and then every so often they would consult with the NAGP.
Mm-hmm.
So what's happened is the accusation is that during these talks between the government, the HSE, and the IMO, Varadkar leaked the contract before it was finalised to the NAGP.
Yeah.
A union that the government had left out of the negotiations.
Yeah.
And I suppose that's the controversy. Is that
I mean,
he did it illegally.
Well, the two things, right? One is on the practical level of the stuff, that really undermines Harris, and that's a really shitty thing to do to your own health minister. But on the kind of... So the more I was researching about this, it was awful. Remember when Varadkar had that like milkshake thrown at him, and I like actually couldn't watch it because I felt really bad for him, you know? Like I like this. When I look at this, the more I research this, the more I was like, there's a quote from Observe and Report that I think about often. It's like,
so I thought this was going to be kind of funny, but it's actually kind of sad. So
you know, you're saying there, oh, he leaked it to the NAGP. No, he didn't. He leaked it to Matthew O'Toole, okay? And the reason is because he wants to be liked by Matthew O'Toole. And
do you think?
Oh God, yes. Because I found this other article to kind of explain what was going on, and it's an article called "A Roller Coaster Ride: The Rise and Fall of the NAGP," written on April 9th, 2020, by Niamh Cahill and Priscilla Lynch.
I read that. Yeah, that's where I got my info.
It's a good one. But midway down, they have a bit where is it? Let me just find the quote. Fuck off. I hate when I spell it. Former Minister for Health Leo Varadkar gave the NAGP a cold shoulder following the under-6s contract standoff. So that was in reference to some standoff in 2014 where basically they initially agreed with this idea that was free healthcare for under-6s, and then once they found out the amount, the NAGP originally agreed with the government putting forward something for free healthcare for the under-6s, and they're like, this is great, and then they found out how much money was involved in it, and it's pitiful, and they were like, no, actually we're against this, and we say everybody should be against it. And he was like, well, I fuck you, I don't give a shit about you anyway. So
they put aside 35 million, which like even I know isn't enough.
I mean, like 30, there's plenty you can do with that money, but when you're talking about healthcare with children and for every child, it's like, no, fuck it. Is that really worth the extra work that GPs are going to take on? It's like, once again, like this Fine Gael thing of like, hey, why don't we do this policy and then push all of the work onto other people to do it, to make it work, do you know?
Like if you talk to any GP in the country, they'll say there's just this constant, like any health service worker, but GPs in particular, with regards to this, they'll say like, the desire is for the government to increase their workload and decrease their funding. And they say it's like the funny thing is, the more I read about Matthew O'Toole, the more I liked him.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. Well, I mean, like,
But when I read the initial, like the Facebook messages that were leaked, he seemed like a prick.
No, I think he is a prick.
Is, on an interpersonal level, he seems like a complete prick. But like on a political level, it's like he seems good.
Well, I mean, you know, I think he sees an angle. Like everything to finish the point is that Leo Varadkar gave the cold shoulder to them and was just like, fuck the NAGP. And then he's in negotiations as Taoiseach with his Minister for Health with the IMO, who basically he doesn't like unions, probably, but I'm pretty sure he wouldn't be happy either way. But he has a particular reason not to like the NAGP. But what's clear is that he does like Matthew O'Toole, okay? And one of the things that happened when it was tweeted out was somebody tweeted this thing out, and they were like, you know, this is awful that he's in bed with these people, etc. Do you know what I mean? And the corruption, blah blah blah. And then they had a picture of him like in a nightclub with a bunch of young people, and I was like, oh, that's not fair. This is definitely the post of a racist, or not a racist, but like a homophobe. Some of these, like some right winger who was kind of going like, look at him, he's partying it up with young boys, and then he's doing this corruption on the side. And I didn't realize, no, the person in the photo is the person who he's alleged to have conspired with, you know, who he did conspire with.
He's so young.
He's so fucking young. And I was looking it up, and they said like, he was 29 years old when he took over the role. I was like, okay, so 29, probably that would have been in 2007 or something. He was like, no, he's 29 in like 2018, you know?
He's like my age.
Yeah. It's insane. And so then you see the message, and it's like literally he's corresponding. I don't know how they got this message. This is the one part where, because the other ones make sense, because basically they're whistleblower for the Village magazine. That's how they got those messages. But then the Facebook message that they got from Matthew O'Toole's account, that one doesn't make sense to me. But whatever. What you have is a picture of the document where it's written literally, please do not circulate this. It says something on it like, don't fucking hand this around. And then it's got Leo's writing at the top of it, you know. Or what I'm getting ahead of myself. But the point is that Leo messaged him and was like, what's your address? And like, to me, that struck me as, when you put it with the other photographs and all the other stuff that he's done, incredibly pathetic. Do you know, it reminds me of like the fucking Kylie Minogue letter. It's like this thing of like, somebody goes, hey, I'm outside of these debates, what can I do? And you know, we're friends and stuff. What's your address? I'll send it to you, I'll courier it to you, which he fucking did. As in, I imagine this guy feels like a wheeler dealer, big power broker, and then his friend comes to him and says like, gosh, I wish I was in on this meeting. Hey, give me your address. Let me send this to you. Let me courier this thing to you. Do you know what I mean? And he sends it to him, a physical fucking copy of the document with his handwriting on it, subject to change. Don't know what it's about. I couldn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
This
Well,
is me as
that's
the
why-
Taoiseach. I can do this. Do you know?
Like, the reason he couriered it to him was so there would be no record, you know?
Well, there is a record. There's tons of records where you courier stuff.
I know, but
you know?
like, that's obviously the attempt. Like, if it was
I don't think
a
so,
fucking email
like-
attachment.
Well, he couldn't email it to him, but it could be a case that like you meet somebody. Do you know what I mean? You don't need to courier it to them same day. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I would say you do. Like, I think he wants him to like him. I agree with you there. But like, I could just imagine a situation where you would need to get to him in like an hour, because like, if you think about the timeline of stuff, the talks ended on the 6th of April, right?
Yeah.
And then Varadkar said that he gave him the document at some point between the 11th and the 16th.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, and then it was published. Like, it was supposed to be published much sooner than it actually was.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
So I can just imagine it would be time sensitive.
What would they hope to do with that information as well?
What would O'Toole?
Yeah.
So I think it would be to increase their. So NAGP were being consulted, you know?
Yeah.
And I think it would just be to increase maybe their, like, the amount of information they had basically for the consultation process. Or maybe it was just as basic as, like, it's good to have as much information as possible, and then O'Toole was just, like, using it as a way to, like, further himself politically.
Yeah, well, to endear himself to this union that he has such a close relationship with
Because-
the Taoiseach that he can get this stuff.
Exactly, because the union was also fucked. Like, the union closed down because it was falling
Yeah, I
apart
know.
completely. And, like, it was partly because of the money being... I'm not going to... Partly because of the money issues, but I think it was also just, like, a lot of loss of faith in it as well.
Mm.
So maybe... This is pure speculation, but, like, I imagine a document like that, if you can show that you're in with the Taoiseach, it's
Yeah.
going to help. Like...
Yeah, support for the
reassure.
union. Yeah, reassure people and kind of make you think like, look, we might look like a Mickey Mouse organization, but actually we are close to these brokers of power, you know. The timeline of this as well, so like just in contemporary timeline, let's say. So the article on Friday night, I saw that Leo the Leak was trending, which is such a lame name. And then the
Yeah.
other thing is that there was all these people that I follow on Irish politics Twitter just being like, oh, it's over, it's curtains for Leo. And I was just like, okay, what is this? And it was the Village that said, oh, we're going to have a big article tomorrow. And then you're like, okay, let's see what this says. And I was like, please let it be good. And then I woke up in the morning, you sent me the Substack, and then I started like sifting down through it. And I got about paragraph in, and I was suddenly like, I give up, because I didn't give a shit. Because like one thing that they were doing was they kind of said, as he's known, Leo the Leak, and you're like, okay, great. It felt like a kind of like what I said to you was it's basically going to wither away, and then every so often somebody will say, isn't Leo great? And then somebody will come in with like, fucking tricolor in their Twitter handle, in their Twitter name bio thing, and then they'll be like, oh, is he so great? Well, what about this? And it'll be an article that people go, yeah, who gives a shit? What are those WhatsApp messages that are, incorrectly labeled as WhatsApp messages when they're Facebook messages or whatever? Do you know what I mean? Like it was a kind of sloppy, very partisan article as well. It kind of paints this guy Bose to be like, wow, he's just this lovely guy who just wanted all these nice things to happen for people, and he got caught up in this machine. And it was like, you're in these message groups as well, fucker. Like, why is it coming out now? And anytime you look him up, he's like, oh, he's a health businessman. Do you know what I mean? And he's like, well, also he is responsible for exposing the level of the poor finances and kind of alleged corruption that took place within the NAGP. But
who is this now?
The guy Bose, who's the whistleblower in the article for the Village.
Oh yeah.
So he so anyway, I'm just saying that like it just read like kind of a little bit like hackery. I don't want to be too mean, you know.
Yeah, and like people we were talking to, like, I mean, they made the point that apparently the editorial standards in the Village aren't all that high. My concern is that they just overstated the case. Like, they pretty much immediately came out and said he acted illegally.
Yeah.
And that I think they sort of, you know, the way like Leo's sort of saying it's libelous. The content of the article is libelous.
Mm-hmm.
And like they made so many claims. And it's
and
such
implications
such
as
an
well
outrage.
is the other thing.
Yeah, that you can imagine it's quite easy to get them under libel, even if the guts of it is true.
Yeah.
You know?
Because like the thing is that the opening paragraph that they had where they basically state, oh, he's called Leo the Leak, and then they mention Neffet and the report there, and it's like you're kind of heavily implying something there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's not a really good place to be. But then, so I was like, oh yeah, it's just going to be dismissed. And then he started drafting a statement, and I was like, it'll all rely now if he can do like what Brian Hayes did, or Gordon Darcy, just to be able to like keep your head down, just stay humble, and just weather it for like a week. You know what I mean? And no, he came out swinging, fucking massive long thing. And I was like, keep being you, man. Very happy to see you doing this. First thing he does is admit that it fucking happens. Didn't even just come up with some obfuscating thing of like, this is very concerning what they're alleging happened here, and I would like to see, you know, there's some ways that you can count down the clock on that, even if you fucking did it. Do you know what I mean?
He said he was like, I did it, and it wasn't right, but basically it was just like, it's not a crime to do what I did, even though they're really bad.
Yeah, well, he said, like, you know, if it's a crime to send confidential documents off to a rival union, you know, well, then so help me, I'm guilty of that, you know.
Because the main defense is sort of like that it would be illegal it would be illegal to leak sort of private, non-public information to it, like another party, like the NAGP.
Mm-hmm.
Their defense is that all the information, or at least all salient information, was available to everybody in the form of like press releases and like talks and speeches and stuff, so that if you wanted the information in this, you could get it. But then there was that, we were looking at it, Stephen Donnelly in April, around that time, like on the 16th of April, was complaining that that they couldn't get access to the information, that GPs couldn't get access to the information, and it was all being held privately. So like at the time Leo was claiming it was all public. Stephen Donnelly, was he Minister for Health back then?
2019. No, he wouldn't
April.
have been. No.
He was complaining that it wasn't available.
Yeah.
So.
And then there's a funny thing as well. There was a guy, this is me just getting excited about the goss, but there was a lad, what's his name? Jordan? Do you know this guy? Jordan
no, I didn't
something.
see this.
Oh my god. Yeah, so Andy Jordan, chairman of the NAGP. So at the time, he tweeted out something basically saying, you know, nobody has access to these documents. So what's that? You know, like, nobody has access to these documents, can't find them. You know, this is ridiculous, ludicrous. And he was in the WhatsApp group with the documents. He had to see the documents. I mean, I just found that very funny. It's like, yeah, and they were talking about like, we have to protect our star, Matthew, you know, they knew what they were getting. They were very happy to get it as well. So like, and the village have pointed that out. They're like, if it wasn't confidential or advantageous to these people, why were they so excited that they had it? And why was everybody else wanting to see it?
But I'm going to say this. I like Matthew.
I don't, but I understand where you're coming from.
Like, I was looking at his Twitter.
Yeah.
And like, it's funny, he hasn't tweeted anything about this.
He apparently is drafting a statement.
But his Twitter handle is Dr. No Crack.
Yeah.
Which, you know, I'll give that. There's very few doctors who can admit they're losers. You know?
Well,
Like,
I've
I
heard
was-
him before on other things. I believe talking about Sláinte Care and all these
Yeah.
other things. Like but I think once you see that message of him going, "Would you ever get into direct provision?" Money bag emoji. You're like, "Oh, you're a fucking dickhead," and you just see a grift. But the grift is good. I don't care.
On a
you know.
personal level, I think he's a dickhead. But
Yeah.
on a political level, I don't even think it's the realm of grift. I think he just cares about the health service, doesn't care about anything
Don't know
else.
about that. I don't
Like,
think so.
I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
I was just looking at his record, and his record is just like criticizing the government, like not giving in on stuff, trying to provide good quality healthcare for people. Like that seems like a consistent thing.
Mhm.
And like doctors who are going into politics, then they tend not to just be stirring up trouble, you know, stirring up fights with the government because they want the job with the government, you know.
Mm.
So he's going around saying like, I can't practice as a GP, this is disgraceful. He's like spent half the time talking about, you know, this is what I have to do for my patients, it's not good enough.
Yeah.
But he's also like involved in certain things, like in Sláinte Care at an early date. Like even was
I
involved
guess you
in
have to
NHG
look at the people. You have to look at the people that he's like friends with and that he's hanging out with.
I know,
and it
but
is
this
Leo
is just what I'm
Varadkar.
saying. Politically, I like. I guess I just don't see the big money in it for him.
Well, I mean, all of the positions he's managed to get thus far from having this position. Do you know?
I don't know. He was like a small-time GP, and then he was president of a small union. It's not big money.
It's not small money either. Do you know what I
I
mean?
know, but it's not grift money. Like, to me, that just seems like a doctor who recognizes that the health service is absolutely fucked, and he wants to do a good job as a GP, and this is how he goes about it.
I guess just the idea of him gleefully tweeting pictures or sending pictures of him with Leo
I
and his
know.
boyfriend to people.
But like
He's like,
doctors
I'm
are
so
great.
excited. He's so excited to be close to power and thinks about like I can't get over the direct provision emoji. Like he just, you know.
I know,
I don't know.
but like, that's why I keep saying, like, politically I like him, but personally I don't, because I can't see the grift in what he does.
Yeah.
But he's obviously like, I wouldn't want to have dinner with him, you know?
I take it back to the point with what's her face, Holly Cairns and her husband. It's like if you can be with that guy or be friends with those people or rub shoulders with them, then like I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I can't trust that you say what you are saying. Do you know what I mean? I don't.
In this sort of instance, it's like I think that his track record is somewhat good, and that's all that matters when it comes to like the politics of it, is that what they've done, not who they had to talk to get it done.
But you don't know like what. I mean, I know this is a stupid point, but you don't know what they're also going to do, and the fact that they're
No, but
so
you don't know that
gleeful
about-
around. No, the fact they're so gleeful around the powerful and the stuff that, you know, and the machinations that they have been pulling behind the scenes leaves them susceptible to corruption and kind of compromise. And
Yeah,
like
and-
there is
and-
everything to suggest that he will actually compromise and yeah.
Well,
No,
I don't know. When he
don't-
does that, I'll reassess, but I haven't seen it. And,
Right.
like, to me, a lot of it just seems like sucking up to the guy who's in power,
Yeah.
which just is always going to look bad, particularly in, like, group chats and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
to me, it seems like playing the game, and the game is extremely unsavory. And I mean, you can make the argument that no one should be engaging in the process, but ultimately, I do think that if you're a GP who's trying to get the health service, like trying to get GP service improved in this country,
Yeah.
you probably just start sucking up to them, particularly the guy who's maybe been a bit more favourable to you.
Yeah, I suppose you exploit every connection you have to try and, you know.
Now maybe you're like, he's obviously well able to get on with them, which means I wouldn't trust him implicitly, but like,
Yeah.
I just, from looking at what he's done,
Yeah.
it's just, he seems sort of like one of the better centrists or neoliberal lads, you know? Like, I tell you, I was talking to someone who's working in the health service,
Mm-hmm.
and they try to do a good job, and then Do you remember when there was a number of protests about various things? You know, at the start of the lockdown? He was like, oh, I was really disappointed that Varadkar didn't come out and speak against these things. Like, he was a doctor after all.
Yeah.
And it made me realise there are doctors out there who want the best for the health service. And they're just so thick that they think that, I shouldn't say that about it, but that they don't get another way to do it.
Yeah, totally.
So, like, this is a guy who's just like, I'm going to fix the health service with my good friends, Billy Gale, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, remember when Ice Cube went in with his plan? He went to the Biden campaign, he went to the Trump campaign with this plan, and letter for Black America, I believe. I can't remember the name of it. But then, even though he went to both parties, they focused on Trump, and he's a right winger now, and they fabricated all this stuff about him wearing a "Make America Great Again" hat, you know. And it's like, but no, he does actually just believe, like, here, look, we all just want the same thing. We're going to sit down around a table and hash it out, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think there's like he did actually kind of say, like, no, I don't necessarily believe. I believe progress when I see it, but I have to enter into these talks and say my piece to these people and just plead with them for this stuff, and to neglect the guy who's in charge is foolish, you know, especially when I have access to them.
Like, I'm
which
reading,
is true.
I'm reading about I'm reading about Shane Ross's book.
Yeah.
And he's talking about setting up the Independent Alliance. Remember in the government of, what was that government, 2016? I think so.
I remember now. Yeah.
And he's in there with, like, there was like 6 of them. And I don't know much about Shane Ross, but he really styles himself as a centrist radical, you know, like an old man radical.
Okay. That's funny.
Like, it's sort of funny because he's always saying, like, I shouldn't be the most radical person in the room, but I seem to be.
Yeah.
No, I don't know anything about it, but he describes that issue of, like, they have these things they want to get done, but they're propping up the most conservative government of all time to get it done.
Yeah, exactly.
And, like, I hate people who are like, oh, that's the skill of politics, whatever.
Yeah, totally.
It's just like, the people who revel in that are so lame.
Yeah.
But the people who just, I don't know, hold their nose a bit, it's like, I guess that is what you have to do. Maybe it's not. I don't know.
I mean, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, you know, it's basically the same as saying that there's no point in voting. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like one of those things where an individual vote doesn't matter, but if everybody thought that way, then it would matter. Do you know?
Yeah.
So it's like the same thing where it's like, you know, look, you got to go along to get along, and it's like, yeah, it's everybody thinking that's the problem. Do you know what I mean? Because
I know.
You know,
I think when it comes to doctors, it's like you're looking at a group of people who are well off, like generally privileged. So, like, they're all going to be like Fine Gael voters.
Yeah.
And then it's like, this one is like, at least this guy hasn't completely fucking sold out. He still cares.
I mean, it's a matter of time
service.
for me, but, you know.
Well?
It's a matter of time.
Yeah, I mean, you could easily be right. I have no idea.
I just think that was one of the most deplorable sentences I've ever read. And the fact that he could just say, oh, no, Leo doesn't give a fuck about refugees. And I was like, why are you his friend? Can you even remind me of that again, you dumb bitch? You know what I mean?
He's his friend. Yeah, I would love to know. I was about to say he's his friend to get the info, but I actually don't know if that's true. I would love just to see what their relationship's like.
Yeah.
It'd be cool if they were just two losers trying to, like, impress each other.
But it definitely reminded me of this thing where it's like, you know, but our relationship is useful for each other. I like to impress a young man, and you like to take the information that I leak to you to your benefit and advance your career, do you know? And even though your politics ostensibly seems to be the exact opposite of everything that I do, I like to encourage it because I like the attention that I receive from you.
Yeah. Well, here's my thinking on it, is that, like, if you listen to what Leo's saying at the moment,
mm-hmm.
he's like, I only leaked it to get it passed, you know?
Yeah.
to get the bill that I came up with, or I was Taoiseach over, passed. And it's like, you don't get to act illegally just to get your thing passed. Like, he obviously has this God-given, like, he feels like it's his God-given right to govern.
Yeah.
And to, like, get his bills passed, even if they're not popular.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So the fact that he says that is crazy. It's just like, the only reason I leaked it is because it wasn't going to pass, because no one liked it, so I had to get it passed. Like, well, if it wasn't going to pass, maybe it shouldn't have passed, you know?
Yeah. I mean, the RT, like, it's, no, it is insane, and it's his inability to temper his own ego. First of all, I want to say as well, this is further confirmation that person who threw the milkshake at him is a fake. Is somebody he knows. That was staged, because like, he just can't help himself. You just know how he's going to react, because if his ego is in any way pricked, he just fucking lashes out. And his excuse has to be, it was right because I can't be wrong. And I knew he was like, oh, it depends how he reacts to this, whether it stays in the news. And then of course he reacts badly, and so now it's like, great, now it's going to be a fucking item. You couldn't have just kept your mouth shut, could you? Do you know? And then what happens is, he's definitely going to face questions on Tuesday, and then you got Matthew O'Toole's drafting a statement now. I also want to see, this will actually be kind of truly reflective of his character now. Like, what you say will come into it depending on how he decides to either kind of take responsibility for the stuff that he said, or to just fucking like use it to distance himself from Leo entirely, or throw him under the bus. And then when the questions happen, it's like, you know that Leo has an inability to, like, the opposition are going to be pretty merciless. And also Fianna Fáilers are already coming out going, well, this is a disgrace and this is awful. And even though Barry Cowan has said, oh, I don't think we should dig Leo Varadkar's grave next, he's bringing it up because he's delighted at this. Everybody, the thing is that the Greens eventually came out with a statement saying, like, he needs to answer questions.
That was so funny, because like,
it's again like, it's
so timid. They're just like,
oh yeah,
we would like to say that we'd love the opportunity to talk about this whenever.
Not to mention though, like, the reason that if they feel comfortable doing this, then you just know it's like, okay, it's fucking and it's to be honest, it reminds me of the finale of The Thick of It. Spoilers if anybody hasn't seen it, skip ahead a few seconds. But basically, like, in the last episode of The Thick of It, ironically, Malcolm gets caught for leaking, okay?
Yeah.
And he's basically going to go to prison. And so he wants to bow out with dignity. So he sends the government off. Were they opposition? Are they in government or in opposition?
Opposition.
In that final series, though. Oh yeah, they're in opposition. Yeah. So basically, he sends Dan Miller off to some police station or whatever, knowing that he's going to go to another police station to be arrested. So he's diverted the press over to one way so that he can quietly be arrested somewhere else, you know?
Yeah.
And so anyways, but basically people get wind of this and all the press just descends. They're just following Malcolm from police station to police station, and everybody is delighted to try and tear chunks out of this guy at his lowest moment, because he was such a bollocks to everybody. And it's very similar to Leo Varadkar in that, like, people are so excited to, like, I can't wait to get you up there and to talk about how disgraceful you are, do you know?
I think Sinn Féin are going to just tear lumps out of him, and I think that's going to be
wait.
There's going to be such good drama.
Yeah, but also, like, he will not be able to tolerate that. If he could just the irony as well of Malcolm's kind of last line, where he just doesn't say anything. He's the guy who's always got something to say, and he just quietly gets into a car and kind of like, I'm done, you know?
Yeah.
And but Leo won't be able to do that, and I hope it drags out, and I hope he goes out kicking and screaming, because it suits him.
What do you think's
going
to happen? You think, like, broad strokes, do you think he's going to have to resign?
I think he's going to make his own position untenable, because he just can't fucking help himself.
That's
but that's wishful thinking. I mean, I'm very happy to just see him flailing, so I'll just take that. I'll take the wins while I can get them.
Like,
do I think anything?
Could there be another election?
I fucking hope so, because if he stands down as Taoiseach, you have to have another election. The guy who would be Taoiseach in a year and a half and who now has to resign as Taoiseach, you joking, you have to have another election. But the thing is that they, like, Micheál Martin is like, it's so funny because you imagine he's like delighted that your man's getting publicly lashed, but also like, you fucking idiot. We had such a good thing going and look what you've done, you dumb bitch.
But the thing is that at the moment they're not getting along, and one of the reasons they're not getting along is because Leo knows or thought that if there was another election, that Fine Gael would walk it.
Yeah.
So he could get to be as like as brash as he wanted, basically just like leaking stuff early, trying to get ahead of the story and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
If there's another election, who do you think, like, Fine Gael wouldn't do as well without Varadkar? So maybe Fianna Fáil would pick up the slack.
See, I think that's interesting. I'm just trying to think about it. I'm not really... the current thing, it's just untenable. I think he has to fucking go. But, the stuff that happens, it's kind of like that that would result from that is so volatile that you wonder, like, it's just impossible to know as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I think what's going to happen is it's going to be up to, like, Sinn Féin, the opposition, to lead, the questioning.
Yeah.
Depends how good the job they do, because maybe it'll all just blow over.
I think the funny thing about Leo as well is that he has unwittingly been setting the groundwork for this to be way worse than it could have been. Do you know what I mean? So his whole crusade against non-essential items, his dumb fucking tweet about like, they actually want to tax the multinationals, and just kind of reminding everybody, I'm a little penny pinching prick who like gets off with being an elitist snob, and then all of a sudden they go, here's him doing like something that could potentially be illegal to benefit his fucking rich, awful friends who you hate. And I don't know the background of Matthew O'Toole, but just read his fucking name and you know that you hate him immediately. Like, if that was the only thing you read, you could easily hate that man.
There's nothing sympathetic in it whatsoever.
Yeah. So then but also it just reminds you of like that kind of like Fiacre from Foxrock type thing. Matthew O'Toole, that's my name. Do you know what I mean? It's like just fucking these spoon in their mouths, silver spoon in their mouths to assholes.
He's like an Irish speaking Galway GP.
Yeah, I know.
But so like he has the bang of a Foxrock elite.
Exactly. So don't do any more research. Although maybe more people know him than you think, because I typed in his name to see what was, apparently he's like a viral kind of guy talking about masks and stuff. And then if you look him up on the Irish Times, he's literally throughout all of September and October, or all of the articles for COVID, he is constantly quoted. So he's kind of this celebrity doctor, So... yeah, I don't know. So here's what I think. We're just going to do like fantasy football, okay? Here's what I would love to happen. He resigns as Taoiseach. It becomes something that the media, Irish Times and RTE, cannot fucking avoid. By the way, one thing I want to say about RTE is I was watching the news last night, and the first thing they said about the thing was Leo Varadkar has called an article in the Village defamatory and libelous or whatever, and then they launch into the piece and they say that again, and then about halfway through they talk about the actual article itself, quickly skip over the validity of the thing where it's like Gav Riley and Richard Chambers were like, he actually he's saying here like, the paper was basically released even though it was just a statement, but then Gav Riley's like, no, you leaked it a month before it was actually, fully out there in the public or whatever. So, he's on very dubious grounds. Whether it was illegal, I'm not sure. But having a big document that says "do not circulate" with your handwriting on it, that you personally courier to a fucking 20-year-old you want to
impress,
it's kind of like not good for you. Do you know what I mean?
Oh God.
Like, it's so annoying to have to like parse this shit. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just, you know what I mean? Like, it's that it's so brazen and so out there, and that everybody goes, well, we're not sure if it's illegal, we're not sure if this, that, and the other. Is like, well, if it's not illegal, it fucking should be. Right? Like, and then like the other thing about it is in the comment where he writes, to be fair, Leo always delivers. So does that mean, I know what he's meant, delivers as in courier, ha ha ha, very funny. But like when he says always delivers, like, does this mean that Leo's done this before? And obviously there's like,
oh yeah,
you know, like we all know that he has, but I'm just saying that to see it written down in that way, it's kind of like, what the fuck else is he leaking? Remember when he left early before they announced level 5 because they didn't want him fucking leaking again, presumably, or he left in a huff, either or. But he's just like, how is somebody like that in the office that he's in fit for purpose if he just cannot keep the confidential information? Like, he believes that he is entitled to send that to whoever the fuck he wants, do you know?
Yeah.
But anyway, the whole, he resigns as Taoiseach, triggers another general election, and then God, just Mary Lou, you know, go out there, have Pierce Doherty constantly yelling. That's what I just want to see. Put every single campaign poster is just that tweet that says they actually want to tax multinationals everywhere. Okay, just like, the only thing you need to do is go after Fine Gael, because the drop-off isn't going to be picked up by Fianna Fáil. They're a liability. They're single fucking digits, you know? You just need to hammer Fine Gael. And then, I to be honest, like, the thing is, if he is still leader of Fine Gael, I think there's still a very good chance, if they get enough of the vote, that he could be fucking Taoiseach, unfortunately. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm just trying to imagine Fine Gael in its current format.
If there's a general election, he won't be leader. There's no way. Like,
do you not
can't cause a general election and then also stay. No way.
Okay. Interesting. No, I guess I was just trying to think, who is Leo's actual successor? Do you know what I mean? Because of the way that, because you see these fucking little TDs like rallying around him. Like, because now
Harris.
at the moment you have,
I think Harris is very popular at the moment.
Oh fuck yeah! If Simon Harris went in, that would actually mean I think they'd actually, unfortunately, fucking clean up.
Yeah,
you know.
I can imagine him getting it because, like, the reason people still like Varadkar was because of how Fine Gael communicated during the COVID, the first lockdown. Harris is still one of the main spokespeople for, like, the current restrictions and everything. So, like, even though he's not Minister for Health.
No, he'd clean up. People love him, and he has this kind of attitude of somebody who's a bit like sheepish and kind of like a humble man. I think that's the other thing. And people do believe that he has control. Like, you know, he's able to, you know, it's weird. He's kind of like Miliband, except people trust him more.
But the funny thing is that, like, he got ripped off more than anybody else in the history of the state with the Children's Hospital.
Yeah. And like, cervical check scandal.
He got ripped off to the count of billions.
Yeah.
You know?
Like he is a fucking
obviously
tool.
Incapable.
Yeah. No, he's a complete tool. He's the worst, but it's what people see and what they're exposed to. And again, like I was saying, I would love if, like, what they should just do every day on the news, if the news was somehow if RTE somehow overnight became some massive left-wing thing, just do a daily tally of all of Leo's tweets. You know what I mean? Like, just his awful, disgusting tweets and his posts and his snide remarks about everything. Do you know, it's like, I think people would really not like him if they saw that side of him, you know? But they're not exposed to it as much. And when they are,
what they do to Trump.
Yeah, yes. Because when they are exposed to that side, they find it very unpleasant. Like when he gave out about Tony Holohan, or when he, you know, is on talking about non-essential items or all this type of stuff. Like, people don't like him when he is himself. That's why he has to not be himself in public.
Yeah.
But God, yeah, no, that would probably happen. Yeah, I just don't think that well, I don't know. I mean, we never know, because the other thing about it is, because of how fucked our media landscape is, you know, they did that poll and they found out about Sinn Féin that they were actually doing incredibly well. Like, we had to discover that weeks before the election, do you know? Like, there's clearly something, like, we don't actually know what people are thinking because we are not done a service by our mainstream media, do you know?
Yes.
It's impossible to get a read on what the Irish electorate actually fucking thinks. So it's actually, as much as people would say it's not a good metric to judge things on, you can actually be subjective and be like, well, what do I actually think? And can I extrapolate that out to the public at large? Do you know what I mean? Because, you know, people up until the day, if you had only been following like RTE News or reading the Irish Times, you would have thought that the referendum was, oh no, they've lost it, they fucked up, they started campaigning too late, you know, and then same with Sinn Féin, the idea is like, you know, they have to be bullied into having Mary Lou on for a leaders debate, you know. Yeah.
Well, my concern is that if, say, the opposition or whoever, they just keep talking about how this is illegal.
Yeah.
No one's gonna care. No one's gonna care because people sort of will buy the line that, like, oh, maybe it's technically illegal, but like, sure, it's politics, you know.
Yeah.
They have to show that there was some damage or gain or something, you know. Like, they have to identify the reason why he did it. You know.
I think that they just need to poke him long enough to implicate himself with his in what is inevitably going to be an incredibly shitty attitude. He is not going to be. He's a very Trumpian character in that if he is cornered and he's kind of prodded, he just does not react well to it. He'll just lash out in anger, and you'll be able to get so many great sound bites out of that. I don't think that, like, you know.
But see, the issue is that those sound bites won't get played anymore.
That's true.
You need to have someone on the TV being like, he did this, it's illegal, and he did it for this reason.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's true.
So hopefully they'll be able, and I'm sure, I mean, if they do any sort of job at all, they'll be able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully now. I mean, if I don't have to fucking talk about him ever again, that'll be fine with me. I think when you see the people that are rallying to his cries, his support him, the true believers like Colin Brophy and all these like loser Fine Gael people who love the stuff that Trump is doing, you know. They think like, let's have a bit of that over here. Not like his policies necessarily, although they do support. They just love the kind of being able to be braggadocious and bitchy and stuff like that. And I don't know. I'm just wondering where the support now lies with Fine Gael, or where the power is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there might be those people in the party, but then when push comes to shove, it's like, I mean, hopefully they'll like tear themselves apart by pulling in such completely different directions, you know? Because I just think that Varadkar has offered such toxicity to politics over the years, just this fucking, you know, cattiness, unpleasantness, cruelness as well as the other thing, you know? And stuff that's kind of punishing the poor. It's kind of like, is Coveney or these people going to kind of be like, okay, that's it, we're going to come in and do something about this, because otherwise we're going to get fucking slated in the next election? Or is it like, well, actually no, let's stand with noble leader, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I don't. What I'm saying makes no sense, but what I'm trying to articulate is I don't know what version of the party is going to exist after the dust settles here, and what I do think is he is going to ratchet it up and make it a lot worse for himself, because he can't fucking help himself.
Oh yeah, that'll be the thing. Like, once Sinn Féin start questioning him, game over, like, you know.
Yeah. So, and it's funny because even though we know that, and he should know that, he is still going to fall into the fucking trap because he just can't help himself. He can't do it. It's such a funny thing. But yeah, I mean, it also will come down to, I mean, these outlets, you know, like RTE and the Irish Times, they do like Varadkar. For, you know, I don't think like politically or personally, I just mean they like him because they like writing stories about him.
That's it. He like he's good at work in the media.
Yeah. So I think that there was potential for this to just blow over the weekend, but now it'll get dragged out. But it'll depend on whether they might just get him to resign. No, sorry, what am I talking about? Is there a Taoiseach who has not served on the cabinet? Do you know?
I have no idea. I'd be surprised.
I think the other thing is that the role in which he has is so like if they made him like Minister for Health again, then he might be able to sort of skirt it. But the fact that he's like Minister for Enterprise and Trade, and one of the things is him leaking documents to benefit a rival union, it's like,
yeah,
you fucking idiot. And and also the thing we forgot to mention is that before they could do anything with the information, the NGAP or whatever, the NAGP folded. So
yeah.
it's for nothing. He literally did it for nothing. But yeah, it's kind of pathetic. He's a sad figure, and I'm very glad to see him.
Yeah,
I'll be very glad to see him get publicly dragged this week. You know.
Will we thank our patrons?
Let's thank them.
And what will the theme be?
The theme will be Sesame Street characters or Muppets.
It shouldn't be like today's All Saints Day.
Okay.
Would it be religion?
No, because I don't know anything about that, and it would be unfair.
Oh yeah, paganism.
What about Satanism? Because that's what I am. I'm a Satanist.
Yeah. Okay.
It's probably a lot of overlap.
Okay, so we have
Christianity. No.
Bridget Purcell.
Yes. Saint Bridget Purcell.
Very good.
Mm-hmm.
Someone called Milky Fox. I messaged them to see how they wanted to be referred, but they haven't got back to me yet. But
so it's Milky Fox.
Milky Fox.
Milky Fox that you sacrifice on the altar. The fox, you know.
That's it. Milky, the devil takes the form of a fox at the crossroads.
Yes. This is going so much better than any other time we've done this.
Kyle O'Neill.
Kyle O'Neill and pray to your Lord Satan.
Yeah, yeah. Heal at the crossroads. Your Lord Satan.
Pray to Satan, yeah.
Connor Barry.
Cons are the devil's plaything, Barry. Cons, they do a lot of cons, probably.
Yes.
Connor Scary.
Wait, what about Connor Barry
one.
Cowan? Barry Cowan's a Satanist.
Yes, he's Satan. Let's move on.
Liam McCartan.
Liam McHart. In like heart, like you just stab in the heart, like a Satanist would.
Yes. Oh, what about this? Liam McCart. And it's like you're in a cart, you're going near the crossroads, you see a fox. Get down to pray. Suddenly the devil's there. Where did he come out?
Barry Cowan, yeah.
Claire O'Neill at the crossroads to pray.
Roads, yeah, exactly. So and then Barry Cowan appears, and then he quickly disappears because he's turned the other way because he sees there's a breathalyzer up ahead.
Yes, that's it. He's speeding away.
And he's the devil.
Yes, and the angels are chasing after him.
Yeah, aka the guards.
Niall McGullough.
Niall McGillicuddy. Niall McKilla guy, because that's the
Wait,
most
what about
evil.
Niall McKilla God?
Yes, okay. Niall McKilla God. Nice.
Ronan Carey. Ronan Scary.
Ronan Scary.
The Devil's Scary. Neve Kelly.
Fuck. Sleeve Kelly, because the devil's got a lot of tricks up his sleeve.
Yeah. Oh, here's another one. Neve Telly.
Okay.
Neve Telly, because you were asleep in your bed, and then the telly turns on. It's really loud static, and it's scary because the devil.
Yeah,
is
it's
doing
the devil. Yes.
Paulie Doyle.
Or Telly is also the devil somehow. I don't know.
Yes.
Paulie Doyle. Fuck.
Devil's Toil.
Devil's Toil. That's very good. I really like that one.
Yeah.
That's probably my favorite of the list so far. Yeah.
Joe Joyce. Oh boy.
Oh, rejoice, because the devil is back. The devil's
Yes.
risen. Yes.
The end of days and the devil is back, and we all need to
And-
rejoice.
AKA the devil is, of course, Barry Cowan, who is the co-leader of Antifa, along with Joe Joyce.
Mm.
Mhm.
Antifa are the devil's representative on earth.
Yes, exactly.
They worship an inverted cross
Mm-hmm.
on the opposite day of Easter. And they
Okay.
worship, instead of a lamb, they worship a fox in the shape of Barry Cowan.
Yeah, is Barry Cowan's head on it.
Yeah.
But it's got the
And so
snout of a
on.
fox. Yeah.
Yes. And it has the eyes of a fox.
Of Barry Cowan.
Yeah.
So yeah, also we're on patreon.com/Celtic Ligers. So get on there if you want us to read out your name in an amazing way, just like we did there. And if you want to become a
Yeah.
Satanist and join Antifa. And we have bonus content on there, including our review of the Brexit movie and a review of V for Vendetta. And then recently we did an episode about co-living, which is actually quite good.
Yeah.
Sound surprised. What was the other one? I'm trying to think of some other good stuff we have up there. I think we
Well,
also
there's
talk
also
about Joe
just, like-
Biden on Saturday Night Live. Yeah.
And like, we also just do, isn't like, we do those timeless ones, but we also just do an extra one each week.
Yes, if you
You
like
know?
this, then it's more of it.
Yeah.
And then what else? What was it? Oh yeah, review us on iTunes if you want. It helps the
Oh, yeah.
algorithm. People find it.
That would actually be really helpful.
It actually seems to have been pretty helpful because already, like, our listenership has. Those people just put up. There's only like 3 that other people have put up, or I guess 2 because there was already 2 there. There was one that I put up, and another one that an awful person who just hates everything put up.
Yeah.
You know.
The devil's
And-
representative on earth.
Yes, but not the good devil, like the one we like.
No,
The
yeah.
bad devil.
By that I mean God.
Yes, aka the devil. And the devil is Barry Cowan. Barry Cowan is God. Something there, probably.
Probably that adds up. So how
That
many
adds up.
listeners do we get a week?
Well, don't ask that. Here's what I will say is that our listenership doubles each month. So as long as this trend continues, let's just say we could be making at least €50 on the Patreon.
We're
And that
currently making
buys-
50.
That buys a lot of I don't know, fucking
Oh, come on, you
cans
do.
for my parents. I don't know. That's how I
Yeah.
pay my rent, with cans. I buy my parents cans each month.
Let me throw you a few cans, Mum. For your trouble.
Yeah. And when I say cans, I mean like empty tin cans, you know,
Yeah.
like tomato soup.
Tins of beans.
Yeah. My cans, my precious cans.
Imagine if you're just
that
like,
what he
yeah, I'll
says?
make
My
dinner
auntie
tonight,
cans.
Mum. And it's just like, you each have a cold tin of beans. There's a spoon and a tin of beans.
Actually, I make amazing stuff. I make pasta
Oh, that's so
puttanesca.
depressing.
Pasta puttanesca.
What's
My
that?
precious antique cans. I had to correct myself.
Okay.
I have to make a
What's
statement
that
on next
about?
week's episode apologizing for the episode of The Simpsons that I incorrectly quoted.
What was that?
I said my cans, my precious cans, when in fact it is my cans, my precious antique cans.
Yeah.